Hello and good morning, everyone. This is Preston with iClassPro. Thank you all for joining us today. So for today's live webinar, we will be discussing camps. We'll go over a few different options for your camp setup. And along the way, if you guys have any questions, as always, we do have a team here to assist you. We have Tori as well as Tabitha. So there is a Q&A feature as well as a chat feature. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in and give some questions to our staff. We're here to assist you. And also, if we don't have time to answer your questions at the end of today's live webinar, we'll be sure to follow up with you and give you all the answers that you guys need. Also, the recording of today's webinar will be available to you. You can reach out to a support team, which is support@iClassPro.com, as well as on the blog section of our website at iClassPro.com. You can click on the blog on the very top of the website page, and you'll find all of the webinars in a link. So once you click on it, you'll see the bullet point list there, and we'll be sure to get this one uploaded for you there as well. All right, so give me just a moment here, and I will share the screen with you guys, and we'll jump right in. Okay, so what we're going to look at first for today is the settings for your camps. I'll give you a few different options. We're about to go into camp season. So summer is a big time for a lot of our customers with the camp setup, a little bit different from the class setup. So we're going to go over a few different options, just some tips and tricks to help you on scheduling your camps, as well as how you can price point for those. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll take a look at the setup. Where the setup's located is, of course, under our settings. And we'll go to setup here and camp settings. Now you notice we only have two, so it's a little bit more user-friendly in the sense of you don't have quite as many to go through like you do with your classes. However, it's a little bit different, so it can be a little bit confusing to understand when you compare the two. So that's why we want to make sure and clarify everything for you here. So the first thing is camp types. Now, what are camp types, you ask? Camp types are really just a way to distinguish it in the parent portal and the customer portal app. It's just a way to differentiate it and not just list it as a camp. It can list as many different types of camps. So we have a few that we can see here in this example. Things like open gym, a weekly camp, you can do themed camps, all kinds of cool stuff. So it really just allows for the flexibility of how you want your camps to be listed, which we'll see in a few moments on the parent portal. Now, the biggest area that we need to check into is our pricing schedule. So this is actually how you price your camps, including discounts. It's similar to what you would liken it to, I would say, is our tuition schedules. And what I mean by that is it's more of a price point table. So we're going to take a look at a few that I have set up, and then we'll look at it in the actual camps themselves and make a little bit more sense of it. So we'll look at one for day camps here. So for day camps, this is how we would utilize what we call our Camp Alias feature. The Camp Alias feature is a way that you can put your schedule into a camp that is outside of a regular, one-off scenario. It could be a weekly camp. It could be multiple days with, mornings and afternoons. Sometimes you might have an AM or a PM option, or you can allow them to come to both. And then similarly, it can look over the course of a few weeks. Now, what this is looking at is specific to what we are calling our morning or evening options. So in essence, you'll notice the blocks skip from 1 to 5 to 10. Now, what this means is that we're pricing it at $10 per block from 1 to 4. After 4 blocks, it'll price to 5, and so on. Now from here, this is for one sibling. Now for a second sibling, we price it at 7, and then we discount. Okay, now this is just an example, but you can price point these however you want. Now, what does this mean? This means that if they were to choose, anywhere of 1 to 4 blocks, meaning it could be just an AM or just a PM, you're pricing it at this point for 1 through 4 blocks. But after 5 blocks, 1 block is in representation of AM or PM. So then if they're in 5 blocks, you know that they've at least selected 1 AM and 1 PM together. Now, it could be any virtual combination of those, but then you give a further discount if they choose all the days with all mornings and afternoons. So again, we'll look at the camp alias feature within the camp itself to make sense of this, but you just want to manipulate your pricing schedule to reflect this setup. Now, of course, we give you walk through step-by-step setup help in the support knowledge base for this. And for that, you'll want to go to our support knowledge base, which is support.iClassPro.com. And if you type in camp alias, that's ALIAS, type that into the search field. It's going to pull up that article, and that article is going to give you the many examples that we are going to walk through today. Those examples can be AM or PM, and the other example for a camp alias is to use it for multiple weeks and discounting across multiple weeks within one camp. So be sure to check that out. Again, type in the search camp alias on our support knowledge base for more detailed setup information. Now, similarly to day camps, weekly camps is similar. So in this example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total weeks is what lists here, okay, in my example. So in week 1, I'm pricing it at $10, per block for that week. After that, 45, then 85, 125. So no matter how many weeks, now this allows me the flexibility in one camp to simply have it priced accordingly to how many weeks a customer is selecting. So they can skip week 1 and 2, and they can select week 3, and then they can select week 6. Either way, it's pricing them at 2 weeks, which we know the price point for 2 weeks is here. It doesn't have to be the first, second, third in chronological order. This is simply a price point to give us blocks 1 through 5, we know is week 1. Blocks 5 through 10, we know is week 2, and so on. So again, it's a way to manipulate your pricing schedule to reflect that. Now, other options for camps could just be the more generic, if you will, or the more simplified versions. In this case, remember, camps don't have to be an actual camp, by the way. We went ahead and created a few different ones in here, like Open Gym. So for Open Gym, the reason why we recommend generally doing things like an open play or an open gym, depending on the type of business that you offer, is simply because you want the flexibility for each block to have its own respective, not only number, but who is enrolling. Example, week 1, you might have in the month of April, student A, B, and C enrolled, whereas week 2, maybe B, C, and D might enroll. So this is how it allows for people to choose specific blocks within a month time frame, and that's how we recommend you building things like Open Gym. Now within Open Gym, if this is an example as if you were to do one Open Gym a week, and then you build it for a month at a time. Well, we know that you're never really going to have more than 5 weeks of a meeting for Open Gym, depending on the way the weeks fall per each month. Therefore, we simply bill it as $10 per block for the first sibling in the family, and then $8 a block for any additional. Notice I don't have a third column because any additional siblings will pull from the second column naturally. So this is an example of how you can price something like Open Gym or Open Play, depending on your business structure. Notice I'm putting in the actual price points. And then you might have something similar, but actually more of a camp setup. And what you may find yourself doing for camps in order to increase revenue and increase enrollment numbers, and this is just a recommendation, not something you have to go with, but a good idea, is to create that incentive. So let's say you have a 5-day, week-long summer camp. Well, you want them to have the ability, let's just say, to choose what days they plan to come. Well, depending on which days they plan to come, or how many rather, that is what the price point will be. Notice that the first block is $10 for the first sibling. The second block, I'm going to give a $1 discount. The third block, I'm giving a $2 discount. The fourth, $3, and the fifth, $4. Similarly, for a second sibling, $1 discount automatically off of the first one as the base at $9 for the first block. The second one, they're getting, in essence, a $3 from the original price point of 10, which would be 20. So in this case, 19, over here, 17, and so on. So really from here, it's a $2, $3, $4, and $5 or $6 discount. So this is an example of how you can do your week summer camps. And again, it's all about creating that incentive. If you want to try and max out those enrollments, as a customer, of course, you got to be a little enticing. Let them know, hey, we're going to give you a discount if you fill up more blocks than just one, but the base price is just 10, for example. So that's a look at the pricing and the structure of the pricing. So now we're going to make a little bit more sense of it by looking at the camps themselves and seeing how they're built. So first we'll just go in order here. I have an open gym April. Notice the dates are the whole month of April. So we're going to click the pencil icon here. And this is just a user-friendly way to name this, not just for you and your staff, but also for the customers. Remember, the camp name is just like the class name. It's the most big and bold piece that they're going to see on their front end, whether they're in the parent portal or the customer portal app. Your program and camp type, of course, generally those will match. Your minimum and maximum age and maximum number of entries, gender specifications, etc. So your payment settings. Now for testing purposes, I have amount due at sign up, no payment required, but we do offer 3 options, which is deposit due only, force pay in full, or no payment required. Now, I didn't choose to do a deposit on those pricing schedules, but you do have the option right above the main pricing area. You'll find student/attendee deposit, and there's a section for the first sibling, the second, and the third. So depending on what your structure is, you can offer a deposit, and then whatever remaining balance will be owed, you can bill on the back end. From here, taxes as an option, tax exempt most of the time, not always, depending on your structure. And then you have your camp dates. So the start to the end date range, it doesn't have to be every date between these two because you select that in your schedule, just simply the date range. And then, of course, your allowed registration dates. Now we'll scroll up to Parent Portal. So the main areas that you need to look at are definitely the top 2. This, of course, will either show it on the web and or allow for web registration. Then, of course, allowing parents to choose days means that every date and time that you put in the schedule tab, you're allowing them to pick and choose. If you turn this off, that just means that whatever you put in the schedule is what is being paid for by the customer and they are expected to come to, but it's at their leisure. And if they choose not to show up, it's no sweat off your back. It's just you stating that this is the schedule and this is what you're paying for. And you can just have a flat rate at that point. If you don't have multiple blocks, again, I'm showing the more complexity area of the camps, everyone, but just know that it's way more simplified. If you have just a regular day camp, this can be turned off. You put in 1 day and time here, and then you have 1 block. You know, if there's no additional discounts and it's just a flat rate, you have one block and you put in that price point and you're good to go. So keep that in mind, guys. Just know that I'm giving a little bit more of the webinar today along the lines of the complexity areas of how you can really set up these camps to cater to what your needs are for things that are outside of the realm of a normal quote unquote camp for just one day in time with a flat rate. Auto approve request is similar to classes. As long as they meet the age, gender requirements, the class isn't full, etc., you're just letting them automatically enroll themselves. Now, this option is displaying the schedule alias in place of schedule details. This won't come in handy here, but we will see this in the morning and afternoon options, as well as the multi-week camps, because the alias is what we use to make those blocks price point at 5 blocks at a time with that price setup. So we'll see that in a minute. Then, of course, you have your image, which is optional, and description. User-defined questions, I did not add any here, but just know that this is actually a really cool option. The reason why this is in camps and not in classes is generally to get more information about your campers. So campers are not always who are general members already of your facilities or your businesses. So sometimes you may want to ask a little bit more questions upon the entry of the registration from the front end. What's cool about this, you can ask a question, you can have a description and an answer. Now, if you wanted to add a price point, let's say, for example, would you like to buy a shirt? If the answer is yes, you can add a price point of $10 and then add the question. Now, that's for something for purchase. However, if you want to just simply ask an open-ended question or yes or no without a price, you can do so. You can add as many questions as you need to for a camp registration. Each time they register for the camp, they would have to answer those questions. So the schedule. So for this, there's 2 schedule types. We have a weekly schedule, which is weekdays, and then we have a daily schedule for specific dates. Now, the main reason why you would want to select a weekly schedule in this case for Open Gym is because we know that between this date range, 4/1 to 4/30, we're going to host an Open Gym every Friday at 3 p.m. for 3 hours. So it saves us putting in every single Friday. Sorry about that, guys. Just one moment. Sorry about that, everybody. My screen froze up on me for just a moment. So sorry about that, everyone. So in the schedule tab, you have your weekdays, and this saves us from putting in every single time. So we know that every Friday at this time for this duration, we are going to have that Open Gym. Instructors, like anything else, you can add multiple instructors to a camp. Now we'll look at the day camps, mornings and afternoons as an option. So the main thing that we're going to look at that's different here is this right here. This option is selected. So display schedule alias in place of schedule details. Now, here's what an alias in the schedule can look like. So you'll notice that I'm still doing weekdays as my schedule type because we know for the date range I have selected, it's every Monday to, Monday through Friday from start time to duration. Now, where the alias comes into play, it gives the flexibility for them to easily select all mornings, all afternoons, or both. And then also, your price point will be automated from that point. What's very, very important to note here is the alias is very picky, and it's picky for a good reason. Just to make sure everything matches, you have to type it in, and it is case sensitive. You cannot leave out a symbol, and you cannot leave like a parentheses. You have to put in both. The spacing has to be exact. If it's caps, you got to put caps. If it's lowercase, it's got to be lowercase. So as long as I put in the first alias of Monday, 1 p.m. for 4 hours with a label, quote unquote, or alias of PM, all caps, parentheses, afternoons with a capital A, I've got to make sure to do that exact same thing for all of the others. What that does is it ties all of these together to have a matching alias. That matching alias is what allows for the flexibility for the customers on the front end. Now we'll look at a weekly option, similarly using an alias, but in this case, instead of mornings or afternoons, if you guys might have a multiple week camp option, this is great to do. What's very important to note for you guys out there is you cannot discount across camps. So for example, if I have weekly camp here and day camps here, these two camps do not talk to each other whatsoever. It is completely separate from a class setup. So if you want to do camp week 1 as its own camp and camp week 2 as its own camp, you can do so. Now, what that would mean is that you only maybe discount within a week, but you don't discount across multiple weeks. However, if you do discount across multiple weeks, this is the way to go. So weekly camps parent portal displays schedule alias in place of schedule details. Now we'll see one thing that's first of all different is the schedule type. So for the weekly camps and camps across multiple weeks, it's very important that you select daily schedule. And the reason why is because the weeks have to tie together by the alias. So that makes it a little bit different in the sense that you just have to select the correct schedule type of daily schedule for specific dates. Now I just put in 3 weeks here to give you the idea. So week 1, again, very, very case sensitive. Make sure that all of your aliases match. So for all of these dates, starting at 9 a.m. for an 8-hour duration, this is a Monday through Friday option, and these are all considered week 1. Week 2 is my second alias. This is Monday through Friday of the second week. Week 3 is my third alias, Monday through Friday of the third week. So now that we've seen what it can look like on the back end, and we've gotten an idea on the setup, now we'll dive into the front end. We'll see what it looks like for a customer. First, we'll look at the day camps. We'll notice in the schedule, this is the alias. If I click more details, if you have a picture, it'll appear here. I just have a little stock photo attached so you guys can get the idea. If you can, definitely recommended. It's what we have it in there for you guys. And then if we click full schedule, again, our alias shows these are my mornings. These are my afternoons. So it's a really pretty breakdown for you. Then if we click enroll now, I can select any or all students that I want to enroll. We'll just select one for now. Again, my schedule, I can view if I just want to double check before enrolling, AM or PM. For now, I'll click continue enrollment. Now, this is the option that makes it absolutely amazing and super simple for your customers. And this is where they can select, you know what, I want to just bring them only all mornings, or I just want to bring them only afternoons, or both. I'll go ahead and click both here. We'll click next. Based on my pricing structure, it's pricing me at a price point of $90. Add to cart, continue to checkout, and you're all done. So that's a look at the AM PM option. Now to keep it consistent with that camp alias, we'll look at this from the weekly camp option. So more details, same thing, any instructions or things that you need to let them know about, or just a description will also show up here. I didn't type anything out, but the picture will show up along with that description. Again, a nice little stock photo, let them know it's going to be a good time. Full schedule, and here we are, week 1, week 2, and week 3. This is exactly what the alias is used for. So we'll click enroll now, and I'll enroll a couple of students, student B and C. Same thing, you have the option to check the schedule for each week as needed. I'll click continue. And again, that alias kicks in. We choose what weeks we plan to come. Click next. And here we are. Based on the price point, $85 for coming 2 of those weeks. Add to cart, proceed to checkout, all done. Now we'll back it up and go a little bit more of the simplified route. We'll look at Open Gym or Open Play. Full schedule. I think this extended just a little bit, but you get the idea. We'll click enroll now. Generally, it'll just be for the month that you're in. Might just be as simple as me refreshing here from when I edited. Okay, no, it shows up all here for us. So it gives us all of the dates in April. So what I can do now, if this were to be, different days, what I can do here is just select Friday, and it selects all the Fridays for me. So it's a little shortcut for the customers. Otherwise, we can just select 2 or 3, however many we need to. And we'll click next. Based on the price point of selecting 2, price point at 20 bucks. Add to cart, proceed to checkout. And then from here, Super Summer Camps, we'll take a look at this, and then I'll show you guys how to enroll a student from the back end as well in these camps, okay? Because that request did come in, and I'm more than happy to show you guys that too, okay? So our final one to take a look at here in the parent portal is Super Summer Camp, more details, photo description, nice and pretty. Get those kids enrolled. Full schedule. This shows us all of our dates and time ranges. Enroll now. Pick my students. Continue. Pausing the share for just a moment. So sorry, guys. Sorry about that. So now we're going to go into the parent portal again, and we're selecting the days. So again, little shortcuts up here, or we can select from down here. We'll click next. Then again, our price point pulls up based on the price points in the pricing schedule. Student B at 26, student C at 28. So that's a look at the back end, or I'm sorry, the front end. Now we're going to take a look at the back end per a request that we had come in to see how we can enroll students into these camps. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at the student screen. So we can find our student. Now you can do this from a few places. I'm going to show you one of the most, I would say, user-friendly, easy places to do it is from your student screen. You can search to find your student up here and click the enrollment icon for people next to the student. From here, new class or new camp enrollment, we'll select new camp. You have your instructor filter over here, and then you have your camps to choose from here. So I'll click on each one to show you. So if we're doing AM and PM, notice our alias is here. So if we need to do just AM, we select the top 5. PM would be just the bottom 4. Otherwise, we do have shortcuts as well. So let's say they wanted to come to both Mondays, both Wednesdays, and both Fridays. Check it out. So it fills that in automatically for us. Otherwise, we hit all. Again, another shortcut. Now, if you're doing it on the back end, you'll probably find yourself wanting to click this button right here to send the enrollment email that gives them the information about the camp that they signed up for. And then you would most likely, but depending on your process, you could do save and charge, save and add another for adding another camp enrollment, or simply save and close. Remember, our term charge means bill or invoice. So you can click save and charge and it takes you into the new charge window. I'll go ahead and show you this. So the new charge is going to be a line item type for camp tuition. You find the camp enrollment, which is right here. And as you can see, it'll automate that amount for you. So you really don't have to do anything. From there, you simply select whatever charge category is most applicable. Now, I'll just put online tuition here, but most likely you're going to have different charge categories like open gym or AM PM camps. And then you can add line items or create and make payment. And then, of course, take the payment. Put in how they paid. Put in the amount. And in this case, it's for this camp at $90. So you would just put in 90. Come down and select that camp enrollment for 90 and process. And printer email receipts and you're done. Now, I won't go through the full charge process for the rest. That was just to give you the idea, but now I'll show you the differences on the other camp enrollment types. So that was for day camps. Now we'll do open gym. You can select any or all based on the date range that you have, and it'll price point. Otherwise, super summer camp, same thing, select your blocks. Remember that send enrollment email. If you're doing it from the back end, they need to get that information. So be sure to check that box. And then again, depending on what your structure is, you'll probably want to, save and charge that enrollment, charge meaning bill or invoice, and then of course running a payment if you can, otherwise at least having an outstanding balance due. And then the final one is the weekly. So similarly, we have 3 weeks here. Week 1, week 2, and week 3. We can select all up here, or again, we can shortcut if they know certain days that they want to come every one of those weeks. This is a cool shortcut for you. Otherwise, you can pick and choose. Same setup for sending the enrollment email and charging and running payment as needed. All right, guys. So I hope that was extremely helpful for you. I know we're right around the corner. Fingers crossed for your camp season. So I absolutely hope that this was helpful for everyone today. And if you guys have any questions or would prefer to have the recording of today's session, be sure to reach out to either our support team, support@iClassPro.com, or you can also, like I said before, if you go to iClassPro.com and click the blog section on the very top of the website, you'll find the webinar section with all the links to each of these recordings. It was a pleasure speaking with you all today. Also, remember, any questions that might not get answered or might come to you later, be sure to reach out to us. We'll be sure to follow up with you and make sure you guys get all of those questions answered. And keep tuning in for our live webinar series. We'll have a few more. We try to do at least a couple a week at this time, keeping everybody involved in the account and learning many more new things. And it was a pleasure talking to you all today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe out there, and we'll hopefully see you all next week. Bye, guys.